Have you been thinking about buying a McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Lobo action figure lately? Well, great. If you have, I've already bought one, and I'm going to crack this bad boy open on camera, give you a review, and maybe help you make your mind up. Yes, hello, welcome. It's Chris here from MoDXtra Games and Collectibles, and this is a channel all about my life and times as an enormous man-child nerd and all the nostalgic collectibles that I keep filling my house with now that I have money of my own as an adult. And today's video is all about my brand new McFarlane Toys Lobo action figure. Now, I have to confess, I'm not the biggest fan of McFarlane Toys. Just something about the way they are working with this DC line. It's like he's trying to crowbar all these DC comic book characters into a kind of grim, gritty, dark, spawnified, McFarlaneized kind of look. I am, however, a big fan of Lobo. Got really powerful memories, nostalgic memories of reading Lobo titles in the 90s when I was a young teenager and just really enjoying all that juvenile, irreverent humour, which was just my cup of tea when I was a youngster. So let's crack this bad boy open, take a look at the figure. I'll offer a few review thoughts, and then just maybe, if you're thinking about picking one up for yourself, this video will help you make your mind up. So let's jump over to the overhead camera in 3, 2, 1. Okay, then here he is, Lobo, the DC Multiverse Lobo in box. You can see the lovely big window at the front showing off the figure. The back's pretty awesome. Look at that dramatic photograph of the Lobo figure in action with thunder and lightning going off behind him. Let's bring that up a bit. Also got little pictures of all the other figures from this wave across the bottom there. Right, let's get him open. Ooh. There we go. Slide him out. There's the back there with the trading card and the foot stand. I do like these little card backs. I like to keep them and use them for, standing up behind them when I take photographs. Although the McFarlane ones are no good because they've got the trading card and the foot stand and you have to tear the plastic off to get into them. And the main man, yeah, Bastich. Here we go. Oh, he's got his anti-shoplifting malarkey. Can I just do that with a pull? I can. He's a hefty figure. He's got some bulk on him there. Oh, I hate that sound. These blister packs do my goddamn head in. Come on, out you come. There we go. And just one accessory with Lobo that's all taped in here, which is his hook and wrist chain. Can I just yank that out there? Can I? No, I'm going to have to take the tape off. There we go. And there we are. What's he doing with his head? What's going on with your head, Lobo? Oh, there we go. And there we are. Lobo out the box. Here we are then. Here's Lobo in all his glory, all unpacked. It's actually been a couple of days now since I did the unboxing section of this video. I've had to play around with him, posed him up, had him onto the shelf, had a little bit of man-child playtime, taken some photos, and I'm ready to share some thoughts. The first thing that strikes you right out the gate is he's such a massive, imposing figure. I mean, I know McFarlane do their figures big, it's 7-inch instead of 6-inch, but this guy's got some beefy heft on him, and as well he should as a big old space-faring bounty hunter that he is. Lots of things to like about the figure. There's a few little bits and bobs that I'll share that I've been a bit uncertain about. But that may be broadly to do with McFarlaneizing things. I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's take a closer look and have a bit of a chat about the figure in general. Now then, if you watched one of my reviews before, you'll know that I like to start by talking about the look and aesthetic of the figure. And there's no two ways about it. This is a really good looking figure. Well, good looking in the sense of an action figure. I'm not sure he's actually good looking, but you know what I mean. And one thing that always catches my eye that I really enjoy with modern contemporary action figure construction now is when there's good texture, layers of texture and detail that are in the figure. And McFarlane have really knocked it out the park with Lobo on that front. I mean, look at his leather jacket. Look at the leather textured detail. Just a nice worn out biker jacket with a shredded sleeve on it. Just really top notch. And the texture and detail in his stringy vest, just amazing. And the jeans there, they just look like actually denim-y, jeany-like, although perhaps it could be argued a bit shiny. And look at these shin guards and the steel caps on his boots, just brilliant. Look at the little bits of detail in here. All these little kind of divots, just, you can see he's been kicking heads in and capturing bounties. Awesome. The face is a little bit of a double-edged sword. I appreciate, the little beardy facial hair. He's got the red eyes and the Lobo paintwork. But I don't know if it's coming through on the footage I'm taking there, because I've not really mastered lighting. But there's two different shades of grey in there. The bottom half of the face sort of more in line with the grey colour of the rest of his body. But the top half of the face is more white, which bothers me. That's been bugging me a little bit. But yeah, look at his teeth, his kind of dirty, filthy cigar smoking teeth. There's a lot to love there. It's just the shame that they've kind of let themselves down a bit with the two-tone in the shading there. That's a little bit of a disappointment. But I can look past that because all the other elements of detail and texture are really very good. And the hair, I mean, look at the sculpt on the hair. That's really amazing. I'm not too sure I'm a fan of the blue highlights, but I don't think that's necessarily an issue with the figure. I think that's just a personal preference thing. However, the quality of the sculpt and the detail of the sculpt is really quite something else. Very, very appreciative of that. And it just ties together really well with the level of detail that exists in the rest of the figure. And the back of the jacket, now talk about layers of detail and texture to really bring the figure to life for you. This is a wonderful touch here. Not only have you got more of this hard-worn, biker leather jacket thing going on here, but we've also got the patch that reads "Bite Me Fanboy," which is a wonderful touch for a Lobo fanboy like me. Irony not lost on me, because this is from the famous cover image of issue 1 of Lobo's back. And look at the detail on that. Even the mistakes, like the intentional mistakes to make it look and feel like Lobo has decorated his own jacket, is a fantastic touch. Also here, though, while I've got him facing this way around, just even more evidence of the quality texture in the jeans, although, again, I'll reiterate, legs seem a bit shiny. And look at the lovely studs across the belt there. Just tons of really excellent detail in the figure on that front. Right, let's talk now a little bit about the figure's articulation. If you're an action figure photographer, or you're looking to get him posed up on shelves or in displays, what is the figure of Lobo going to offer you? And let's start by taking a look at above the shoulders. Random side note tangent. I'm finding Lobo very difficult to light in my filming rig. Anybody got some experience of that? Want to give me some hints and tips? Then get in touch. But let's talk about the head anyway. So the head, I've found, has limitations. He's got good side-to-side, some degree. Get a bit of side-to-side looking going on there. But because of the way the hair drapes over the leather jacket's collar and the way it meets here at the back of the neck, very little options in terms of looking up and looking down. Very little options indeed, or at least with my figure. There's just a big old muscular neck in there as well that just completely gets in the way. So if you're looking to do some interesting photography shots, for example, with your Lobo, that might require him to be looking up or looking down. As you can see, very limited opportunity to do so. Onto the limb articulation now, and it's pretty typical for a McFarlane Multiverse figure. It's decent enough. I have to admit, I find McFarlane's articulation just, I don't know if it's a quality control thing or a design thing, but it's not quite as slick as what I experienced with Hasbro's Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe Classified. Although not Black Series. Black Series has really weird articulation sometimes. But let's have a look at this figure anyway. We've got the butterfly joint in the shoulder there, allowing for a bit of forward and back. It's a little bit restricted by the cutoff on his leather vest there, but that's okay. Arm does go all the way around. Shoulder comes up. You've got the double elbow in there. Actually, probably better that way around to show the double elbow off. And then wrist articulation. But the hand goes all the way around. Then there's a swivel joint to go back and forward, and that's the same on both arms. Okay, talking about the legs, we've got a bit of a similar story really as to the arms. It's decent enough, but not quite where I perhaps would like it to be necessarily. We've got some movement forward, kicks forward there, but because of the kind of sculpt around his crotch, it has this sort of weird pick out. It doesn't come forward particularly straight, and there's no back at all because of the way his arse cheeks are sculpted there. You've just got no rear motion whatsoever, which is all right. So it comes out in a sort of spread eagled way like that, which is fine, but again limits your options. This groin joint here is the plastic's a bit softer. You know, you can see the change from the shiny, harder plastic to this sort of softer one. It does have a little bit of give in there, but not a lot. The knees are double jointed knees. They come back fairly well. Oh, autofocus. There we go. Come back fairly well and offer you some posing options. And then into the feet and the ankles, we've got a little bit of side by side and a tiny bit of pivot. Got you forward and back to a certain degree as well. But I'll let you into a little secret. This is actually my second Lobo now. My first Lobo came and his left foot did not move at all. The joint had been incorrectly fitted on the ankle and there was no movement at all. So none of that and none of that. So I had to send one back and get an exchange. But even then I'm finding that the feet aren't wonderful for posing up. Now I don't know whether that's because of the way the shin guard comes down and the way they've got it molded through there, but yeah, I found it a bit tough at times when I've been trying to put him into some particular poses. The feet haven't been playing along, and this little gap there at the back of his heel I find a little annoying too, but that's a minor niggle. And then finally, Lobo can curl his toes. And finally, on the articulation front, just a bit of chat about the torso there. So you can see here where the chest and the abdomen meet, we've got a little bit of swivel motion in there. It's not too bad. I find these McFarlane sort of lower chest breaks are a little unusual, a bit uncanny valley for me when I use them in some of the poses that I put them in, but it's there. There's not a lot of forward and back on that, but there's a little bit of motion for some fine tuning if you're trying to pose them up in a particular way. And then there is the waist swivel as well, which again, with the McFarlane figures, I find this just takes it a little bit too uncanny valley and sort of creates things like these. I don't know if you can see that with my lighting, but these little chasms that stand out and put me off of using them a great deal, but they're there, you know, and as I say, they're useful for a bit of fine tuning if you're trying to get Lobo into a particular pose. Now, what's an action figure without some accessories? And there's a couple of little bits that come with Lobo, but it's fairly limited. First thing out the pack here is the foot stand. These are coming as standard with the DC Multiverse figures right now. That's got a foot peg on it, and there's a hole in the heel of both feet, the left and the right feet, that you can just place on his feet like that, which I've found actually proves to be quite useful. Lobo, despite his big wide flat-footedness and his heft, is not proving to be a very good independent stander. I think McFarlane make their toys a little bit too top-heavy, and he's a toppler. He falls over when I open the drawers in the chest of drawers my display is on top of right now. The other piece of accessory is his chain, his hook chain, which is very well known. This is a kind of rubbery material. I'm not the biggest fan, actually. I've not found much pleasure in this at all, although I have kept it on the figure. It's a bit of a struggle to get on, because you have to sort of just kind of cram it in and sort of bend it and shake it any way you want it around. And then what I've been doing is I've been sort of folding it and stretching it. Oh, see, there you go. You have to, I don't know, just the rubberiness of it. I can't see that. If I take it in and out of his hands too many times, I can see that snapping here. But there you go, it's in his hands. And other than the trading card, which looks like this, and actually, God, I could only ever hope to make my action figure photography look that good. That pulling it closer to my face. Yeah, I'll never be able to get a picture that good out of the figure. But that's it. Quite limiting in terms of the accessories. Now, I know they never would, but I'd have liked with a Lobo maybe a cigar that he could hold, or maybe a little minifig of Dog, to have with him. That might have been in the realms of possibility, but yeah, a little bit limiting on the accessories front, but that's okay. That is what it is. That seems to be a bit of a trend in the action figure world in general right now. A lot of the lines seem to be reducing the kind of additional accessories that they give. So I just, one little kind of note while I'm on the back end of the subject of articulation and accessories. And it's something I've found with McFarlane Toys through the years, and I'm particularly finding it with these DC Multiverse figures now. How I have Lobo standing presently is about the extent of what I feel comfortable doing with the figure. And I find that there's a kind of more limited, crunchier level of articulation when compared to other figure ranges that mean it's kind of a bit of a budget glorified display statue than anything else. In terms of tactile action figure experience, when I'm trying to put him in poses, I feel like the feedback from Lobo is that this isn't what I'm meant for. Stop trying to bend my knees. There's like the only word I can think of is crunchy. And because the leg articulation, the way they put together the groin and the hips seems a bit more restricted also, I find it quite limiting using the figures when I'm trying to pose them up for some photos I want to take or a funny little kind of display that I'm trying to put on the shelf with Superman. Now, that might just be me. I don't know. Perhaps I'm missing something, and I'm happy to be corrected in the comments down below because I could be way off the mark there. But I just feel like the feedback on the figure is telling me, why are you using my joints? What's going on there? And I don't know. And that is basically what I feel Todd McFarlane wants me to do with the figure. Put it on the foot stand and stand it on the shelf like that. You know what I mean? I don't know, a weird little bit of feedback from me there, but just something I'm kind of observing time and time again with my McFarlane figures. And it takes me back to the days when the McFarlane figures didn't even have this level of articulation. Like they've just kind of chucked it in. And they don't really want you to articulate your figures. I don't know, perhaps I'm being overcritical, but something that occurred to me when I was playing with Lobo over the last couple of days. Now then, you might be forgiven for thinking, after watching the closer inspection look at the figure in the previous parts of this video, that I'm actually not very happy with my Lobo figure. But in fact, that's not true. I'm really happy with my Lobo figure. The sculpt detail, the textures, the layers of depth, the comic book accuracy, the fact that he has incredible shelf presence, all far outweigh any reservations I might have about what I feel is a more limiting range of articulation and some of the strange, uncanny valley moments that the articulation points create with the figure. And as with many of these action figure reviews, what this basically boils down to is, what are you looking for from your action figure experience? Sometimes I am just looking for a great figure with lots of shelf presence that's going to look awesome on my display, and I'm quite happy to have a limited pose. I mean, it's a good pose, even in the kind of limited movement state. If you're looking for something with lots of articulation that isn't giving you that crunchy feedback and being really fiddly and awkward when you're trying to do something a little bit more ambitious with the figure, then perhaps Lobo's not for you. So if you're a diorama person who likes taking exciting, dynamic photography with your action figures, then Lobo's not going to cut it. And he's certainly not that type of figure for some of the stuff I like to do over on Instagram. But as something just to ignite those nostalgic memories of the joy this character brought me when I was a child in the 90s, and kind of sit as a striking shelf presence in my action figure display, then yeah, this guy is brilliant. Awesome. So would I recommend Lobo? Well, yeah, I would, if that's what you're looking for. But if you want something else, then perhaps he's not for you. Although, I can't rule out that maybe I'm just missing something about McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Articulation, and I'm happy to be corrected in the comments down below if someone's saying, no, you're not getting it, Chris, because I think maybe I'm not getting it, you know? So there you go. There's my review of Lobo. I hope if you're thinking about picking one up for yourself, I've given you some thoughts that might help you make your decision. Do all the YouTubey things for me, please. That would be great. The feedback is really helpful. It takes just a minute for you to hit the subscribe button. It takes just a minute for you to... Well, not even a minute. It takes seconds for you to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. But the feedback really helps me out. It means the world to me and lets me know I'm going in the right direction. And on the opposite side of that, if there's something more I could be doing or some points of improvement that you can offer me a hint and tip about, then please do get in touch about that too. I really want to do more with this channel and go places. But in the meantime, thanks so very much for watching MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. I've been Chris, and I'll see you around these parts sometime soon, maybe with another action figure, maybe with a board game, maybe with some trading cards, or perhaps something out of my comic book collection, whatever nostalgic collectible I'm engaging with that given week. Okay, folks, take it easy out there, and I'll see you again soon.